Hi, this is Amara, your spiritual tour guide to the land of spirit and abundance, otherwise known as love. It's Monday morning, and I wanted to share my miracle of the week. So last week I was away at Convocation, a conference in Ypsilanti, Michigan. Before I went, I was a little trepidatious because I knew one person who wasn't going to the conference in Ypsilanti. And I was going to this really big conference, it's like 1,000 people, where I met a couple of the speakers, but it wasn't like I was friends with them. So I was really going kind of a little bit just stepping off the cliff, like the Fool card in the tarot. But I really wanted to have some new adventures this year. And so here I was going. So I was a little bit. I've only taken an Uber or Lyft like 3 times, and I don't think I ever arranged them myself. So I kind of didn't really exactly know what I was doing. I know that seems weird, but I live in New Jersey. Everyone has a car, and it just hasn't been necessary. So of all the things that I could be worrying about, I was worrying about that. Um, so I decided I would email the convocation, the people organizing the conference, so that I could see if somebody might be able to pick me up at the airport. And they were very gracious and came up with a solution. But so the solution was that there was a woman who was looking to share a room driving from a few hours away in Michigan. And so if I wanted to share my room with her, she could pick me up at the airport and drop me off at the airport. So, I kind of thought about it. I talked to her, and I just decided that I really know myself and I need space. Like, I am a very extroverted introvert or something like that. And I knew I was going to need like some rejuvenation time by myself to be around all these people. And, you know, I was giving 3 classes, and I just felt like I really just need my own space. So, so although I had a solution, I kind of was like, okay, I'm just gonna step back into uncertainty and be okay with that. So the trip came, my partner drove me to the airport, and I let the airline pick my seat out. Didn't care where I was sitting because I was, going by myself, so it didn't matter. Um, so I get on the airplane. I'm like sitting next to this woman. She ends up switching with a guy. So the guy's sitting next to me. He lives in New Jersey, but works in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is closer than the Detroit airport to Ypsilanti, but not yet there. But we were chatting, and I said, I'm kind of nervous about picking up a ride share because I have no idea how to do that. Um, and he was trying to explain to me that I had to like go up 4 flights of stairs and go across the sky bridge and go down 4 flights and then cross the street. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get totally lost. I was like, oh, I was very thankful to him. And he said, well, I could take you there. And I said, well, I checked luggage, and he hadn't. And he was like, oh, well, whatever. But then the 2 people in front of me turn around and say, oh, are you by any chance going to convocation? And I'm like, yes. And it turns out that there are 2 speakers sitting in front of me, a very lovely um, guy named Chris Lowe, Cliff Lowe, sorry, Cliff Lowe, Clifford Hartley Lowe, who turns out to be one of the featured speakers, and his partner, Alexandra Shaman. So I was very excited that and we were chatting, and, we seemed to hit it off. And I said, hey, would you like to share an Uber to the hotel? And they were like, oh, yeah, definitely. So not only did we share this Uber to the hotel, Cliff and Alex invited me to dinner, and kind of took me under their wing, started introducing me to people, which was just like lovely. So I met a lot of the speakers and I felt very included and it was very nice. And because I really had known no one. And, I kind of figured I can talk to people, it would be okay. But this was really a nice way to kind of ease my way into the conference. And they kind of checked in with me. They had a party in their room one night. They invited me. It was late for me because I'm kind of the early bird, but I went for a little while. I helped them set up. It was very nice. And I went to some of their classes just to kind of see how they were. Um, and then I did know one person in Ypsilanti. The guy that I get astrology readings from is Spencer Michaud, and he of Spencer Michaud Astrology, and he's in Ypsilanti, and so I had reached out to him prior and said, hey, I know we've never actually met because we've only had these readings on Zoom, but I'm coming to Ypsilanti for convocation. Would you be interested in, getting together? And we decided we would go for a walk. And then that morning that we were going for the walk, he said, oh, would you mind if I brought my partner, Tanya? And I was like, no, great. That'd be fabulous. So they show up at the hotel that I'm staying at to go for the walk. And Tanya brings me a gift, which was so sweet. She brought me, I should have brought it down here, but it's so like a little bottle of oil that she made for because she has Third Coast Mojo is on Etsy, and it's called Serene Queen, and it's like a nerve tonic, which was very cool. So I really appreciated that, and I'll tell another story some other time about what happened with that. But we went for the walk, and as we're walking, we see all these people with like telephoto lens cameras, and it's like I don't know, Thursday morning or something, like not a time you would think that a lot of people would be walking in the cold around a frozen lake or mostly frozen lake. But it turns out that they're pelicans which never show up or very rarely show up in Ypsilanti. They usually mostly stay at the Great Lakes. And so we we see pelicans, we see a great blue heron, we see swans, we see um, a red-breasted nuthatch. It was very cool. We saw these interesting birds and got to talk to some of these bird watchers. And it's like, how do you know that they're here? And they said, oh, well, we have a listserv, you know, on Discords, and we share. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Who knew? So that was fun, and we went on a pretty long hike. I think we were gone like an hour and a half. So I did get, like these miracles happened, and I felt very carried by the universe. Like I could have taken the first opportunity to solve my situation, but I trusted and I let the universe say to me, okay, that's not what you want. You don't want to share your room. I've got something better. And so the something better was really great. And so I am so grateful to the universe. And that's my miracle for today. I hope you enjoyed the story. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.